The Maricopa County Sheriff's Office Traffic Study Annual Report, which analyzes racial disparities in stop length, citation rate, search rate, arrest rate, and seizures following a search, is out. The new info is out. The 2023 report is out. Joining us right now to talk about it, the Maricopa County Sheriff, Russ Schnell. Sheriff, how are you today?
Doing well. How are you doing, Joe and Steve? Thank you for having me.
Doing great. So let's talk a little bit about the 2023 MCSO traffic study. So the report is out. What did it show, and how did it compare to the previous year, Sheriff?
Yeah, and I just want to give the accomplishment to the staff. The men and women of MCSO have greatly been through a lot of training. They've done a lot relative to the actual traffic data, had personal interventions, and the ones that have actually been found to have had significant disparities within their traffic stops. So it's awesome to see that the men and women of MCSO are obviously doing what needs to be done to ensure there's no disparities in our traffic stops. Now, understand that most of this data, or all of this data, is post-traffic stop data. So we don't necessarily know who we're actually stopping. And we have to collect data relative to the court order to ensure that we are treating everybody equally. We're not providing desperate treatment to minorities, any certain class within our community. And so last year we had, basically disparities in our Hispanic community of 24 seconds longer in the traffic stops, citation rate of 3.7% over white, as well as searches about a 0.7%. This year, we show no disparities in any of the traffic data relative to our traffic stops in that post. So it does show significant progress as we continue significant strides towards compliance with our court-ordered actions. And we've already achieved over 192 out of the 207 paragraphs relative to the federal court order over the agency.
Sheriff, because you mentioned the court order, I mean, that's been something that has been hanging over the MCSO for more than a decade, way before you were taking over as sheriff, way before Paul Penzone was sheriff as well. So give us some perspective, some context on this when it comes to getting the men and women working under you to do the things that are required by the court order. How much extra effort, how much extra training actually goes into this to make sure they understand what a court said they were doing wrong before, or other people were doing wrong before, and to make sure they fix it? Is that an uphill climb? You're swimming upstream on that, or has it been something you've found some satisfaction in?
Yeah, I think our agency is definitely, after a decade of dealing with the reforms relative to the court order, doing very, very well with understanding the needed reforms and compliance efforts for the court order. Obviously, we came from some dark times relative to racial profiling and the court actually providing the court order to the agency. We've made significant progress, and understand that traffic data is just one component of many reforms that the agency has taken on. We have a lot of policy, training, oversight from our supervisors, our PSB investigations. It spreads throughout the entire agency, and even actually touches our detention staff and our civilian staff. Although the original essence of the order was more of an enforcement capacity, but I will tell you that the agency and the staff members are very committed to ensuring that we sustain the reforms and we get forward to the compliance so that we don't need the oversight. That's the biggest commitment with the agency. And I will say, a decade has passed. Our agency is very self-sustaining with a lot of these reforms, and we've shown that. Unfortunately, the court order, requires complete compliance with the entire orders that are over the agency. So that's kind of been the biggest challenge with us. But what I've seen and what I've seen with the staff members is they're committed to making sure that we get back to where we need to be and, serving our community in a bias-free manner and making sure that we're treating everybody equally. And they've done a great job in doing so. And I give the accolades to them. They're doing a phenomenal job.
Talking with the Maricopa County Sheriff, Russ Schnell, about the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office Traffic Study Annual Report and what the data shows. Sheriff, what do the numbers look like compared to back in 2014, the first year when the report came out? Roughly, I don't expect you to have the 2014 data right in front of you right now, but But if you just said, hey, we're not seeing any disparities between black drivers and white drivers or Hispanic drivers and white drivers now, from the first year of the report, roughly 10 years ago, what did the disparities look like back then?
Yeah, and just a comparison from last year, again, we saw approximately 24-second longer stop time on Hispanic individuals within our community, a citation rate of 3.7% more than whites or other ethnic groups and minorities, and then also search rate of a 0.7%. So, even though those are, somewhat small figures, they're obviously figures that we continue to work on, and now we're seeing zero across the board. Now, again, this report also shows that there is still some potential disparity with all across the board members of our community, but it's mainly with the length of the stop, and it's literally 17 seconds, which if you think about it, 17 seconds isn't a whole lot of time, and it could be just extra communication. We continue to work and strive to make sure that our deputies are doing equitable contacts with our community members, providing the service and the level that they expect, and make sure that they're respecting everybody out there. And that's really showing in this latest report. The achievements boast our confidence in continuing this positive trajectory under the leadership. But, the work isn't done. We're focusing on completing the remaining 15 paragraphs of the court order to fully meet our obligations. And also we need to make sure that we're continuing to do so, to ensure equitability in interactions between MCSO staff and our community. And I will tell you that we've come a long way from the last decade and evolved and made sure that we're doing so. I look at this is one report. We're going to continue the drive. I don't want to say we're dropping everything and saying we've crossed the finish line. We've got a lot more work to do, and we're going to continue to do it.
Well, Sheriff, not much time left, but you mentioned the seconds, the differential. I need to have to ask you about perception then, because there's been a concern about trust within the Hispanic community as it relates to MCSO over the years. So when you get down to numbers that sound like very little when it comes to 15, 20 seconds here and there, can you explain, though, how that still might matter to members of the Latino community who are facing those extra 20 seconds potentially?
Yeah, no, and again, we continue to drive the mission to make sure that we are listening to the community needs, and if there are things, each traffic stop is treated individually. There may be questions about certain things that the deputy's asking additionally relative to, maybe they have an expired registration. Well, how do I go about doing that? How do I go about fixing that? My driver's license expired, or is there somewhere, I need a repair order? So, each one kind of has its own individuality to it. So to be able to say that everything is, it should be uniform, I want our deputies to make sure they're connecting with the community. And it could be something simple as, hey, I'm lost. I don't know. I'm driving down the road and I'm trying to get somewhere, to be able to provide them some additional information. So we're definitely working on understanding those. We continue to revise the program and explanations, as well as the actual traffic data, for the deputies to put in that type of stuff so that we can capture that and hopefully understand it better so we can analyze it better.
Maricopa County Sheriff Russ Skinner, thank you so much for coming on with us this afternoon. We appreciate it.
Thank you, and safe 4th of July to everybody. Stay hydrated and be safe.
Same to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Take care.
Maricopa
Bye-bye.
County Sheriff's Traffic Study Annual Report that analyzes racial disparities in stop length, citation rate, search rate, arrest rate, and seizures following a search. The new data's out. Steve and I just went over that with Sheriff Skinner right there.
Thanks for watching The Chris and Joe Show. Click to see more from Chris and Joe, and tap the button in the middle to subscribe to KTAR News.